Food. It is a necessity for all living things. Even though this is a common thread, it has a great variation in its representations. This is not only a product of time and culture, it is also a product of function. We now travel in time to analyze different pieces of art and compare and contrast the differences and similarities as a product of function. As expected, there are a variety of methods and images employed to convey different messages. Surprisingly often, the same symbols of food and livestock are utilized with completely different implications. We begin our journey through art in the Upper Paleolithic.
Hall of Bulls is located in France. It's a cave painted with berry and vegetable pigments. Due to its twisted perspective, you can see that the artists were more interested in giving information about the animal rather than the naturalism. It is said that since this piece was painted over an extended period of time, it had many artists. It was probably used more as a part of a ritual rather than for pure artistic purposes.
About 10,000 years later in ancient city of Ur, we find its standard. This shows the outsized king's generosity by depicting him holding a banquet and feast in honor of his guests. This may also display the spoils from the war on the opposite side of the box. Due to the cookie-cutter images, we assume that the artist was more interested in depicting the quantity and abundance rather than the quality of the individual shown.
Far away from Ur in Egypt, T watching a hippopotamus hunt shows an importance of the hierarchy of scale, which shows the power that he has over the hippopotamus. In this painting, T is hunting a hippopotamus, and if successful, he will bring good luck because during life, a successful hunt is a symbol of good fortune. In this example, it seems that the Egyptians found that the symbolism of triumph over evil was more important than depicting abundance by feeding guests in a banquet.
A very different theme is shown by the Toreto fresco, which is found on the wall in the Palace of Knossos. Contrary to the Hall of Bulls and any other earlier depictions, it is the first depiction of livestock, a vigorous movement. It depicts an important ritual, showing other ways to use livestock rather than solely as a food resource. This depicts the potential prosperity of the culture, since they had the option to not eat all their livestock immediately. If one animal can be kept alive to be deemed sacred, it meant there was enough food to go around.
As we enter the archaic period, we take a look at the calf bearer. The calf is a dedication by the artist Rondos, thanking Athena for his prosperity. He has chosen to give a calf a source of possible milk or meat, and even a powerful farming animal. The function of this piece is to show the fact he has enough wealth to sacrifice the calf and still be prosperous. The tendency of using cattle for religious purposes is seen throughout ancient Greece.
Late classical Greek art is quite different from its ancient ancestry. The stag hunt portrays two men and a dog about to land the killing blow on a stag. Here there is no representation of abundance for food or symbolism for good and evil through the hunt. The function of this piece is to show man's dominion over nature. The stag is at the complete mercy of the hunter, being violently held down by one of the two men. Humans here are not only physically stronger than nature, they command it. For the first time we see an animal killing another at the command of humans. This mosaic is a perfect display of the humanism of the Greeks.
The Etruscans were no mere shadows of the ancient Greeks. The tomb of hunting and fishing illustrates the daily activities of the Etruscans and what they wished to continue doing in the afterlife. Again, we see the theme of abundance functioning to portray a high quality of life. Though this tomb seems to lack symbolism of good versus evil, it may have another symbol that is employed by the action of the hunt. The hunting of birds may imply the desire for the departed to catch the spirit of transcendence by the capture of the bird. Therefore, the portrayal of the hunt is used here as a symbol of transcendence.
With the fall of the Etruscans came the rise of the Roman Empire. The monument of Pacis Augusta is covered in beautiful interpretations of peace and prosperity of Roman people. Sculpted on the monument was a form of propaganda that celebrated the great empire that Augustus had created, and thus was actually a monument to his own greatness. Other than propaganda, this piece also functioned as a canon for behavior of his people. With wealth of food, there would be no need for the Roman people to refuse the rule of Augustus. Consequently, Augustus ensured peaceful reign.
After the rise of Christianity, depictions of livestock and food are more closely associated with the rule of Christ. The miracle of loaves and fishes depicts the readiness and power of Christ to provide his followers with nourishment. This piece has the ability to parallel concepts from the mundane world with that of the spiritual. As Christ stands in the foreground of a golden realm, he provides his followers with possible physical, but perhaps even more so, spiritual food. Interestingly, the artist chose to depict it directly prior to the miracle rather than after. By choosing to show the lack of food, he may perhaps be implying to the lack of spiritual sustenance of the observer.
Our final piece is the St. Apollinaris Amid sheep. This piece is a mirror in which domestic livestock is used to symbolize humans, in particular Christian martyrs and Jesus' disciples. The function of this piece is to show the awesome power of God, and it depicts the humility of apostles and martyrs as submissive sheep to God. In this case, domestic livestock is representative of humans and not as food. Perhaps this is symbolic of the use of the humans as nourishments to God, as sheep are nourishments to humans.
Regardless of when and where, food is used as a symbol for many different facets of the human life. The meanings of food imagery are almost infinite. They may choose to blatantly speak of the prosperity of a people, or of the implications of the spiritual conditions of the observer. However employed, images of food speak volumes to the viewer. Depending on the intended function of the artist, food can portray our nourishment, survival, and can even serve as a bridge to more easily communicate concepts that might otherwise be more difficult to grasp. As a result, food can be used as a timeless common language to convey a desired function to the wide variety of audiences around the world.